This is what $3,100 of fabric looks like, all bought in a 2-day period. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, August the 29th, 2022. And yeah, we're moving into September. Summer's almost over. Although we still technically have some summer until about the 21st of September, officially, we kind of think of fall when we get to Labor Day, and Labor Day is next weekend. And you'll also notice that I did not mention what day this is of COVID. I have stopped that. I stopped it, though, for not the reason you're thinking. You're probably thinking you stopped it because what's the point? Which is exactly right. What is the point? We know we were in it for a long time. Will it ever leave us completely? I don't think it is. It is the new normal. We will be getting booster shots every year, like we get flu shots and things like that. So I've gotten rid of it. It seemed useless. Also, because last week I always make notes for my vlogs, and I inadvertently erased that information, didn't realize it until 2 days ago, and can't remember what number I left off on. I guess I could go back to last week's video and I would know. But really, that countdown is meaningless now, isn't it? Like so many things in our world. But anyways, let's move on to coffee. And let's talk about what I'm working on right now. So let me just switch my camera over. And there's two projects up here. Now, the one is an ongoing project. It's the one with the Christmas tree in it. That's the one that I made from scraps. Didn't know where I was going with it. And it's still in an evolutionary format. You'll notice that I've added some more snowflakes around it. Now, those are not necessarily in the place where they're going to be when I finish this quilt. Those are just pinned on there for now for me to get an idea of what this is going to look like. And you see the cute little snowman. That's an In the Hoop applique that I purchased from a site called Molly Mine, which I've never been to before, but she seems to have a lot of cute things on there. It cost me about $4 Canadian, and I'm going to make another one. I'm going to flip him so that he's facing in, and then I'm going to see if I can find something that maybe looks like a pile of gifts or something like that and put down there, and then I'm going to take the whole thing down. I'll unpin. I'll take a picture first so I remember where I put everything. And I'll put it on Lucy. And I'll quilt it first. Get it all layered, get it quilted. And then I'll come back and I'll attach these freestanding lace embroidered snowflakes and the applique snowmen and whatever else I'm going to do on it. And it'll be done. Now, I originally thought that I would put more of the little snowflake star things down along those white points on either side, sort of to hide up where my intersections don't meet up perfect in this. But I thought it'd be too much. And so it's just one of those things I made as a whim. I'm not that worried. It'll look fine. A man on a galloping horse going, 3 miles an hour won't notice that kind of thing with it. It was just a way to use up scraps, and it evolved from there. Now, the very colorful table runner that's hanging up on the side, that's just the top. It has not been quilted. That is a prototype. You know that I mentioned that my sister redid her dining room and living room, and she needed a new table runner for a dining room table, and she wanted it to go with the new furniture. So when I went to London last week, London, Ontario, and did my big shopping haul, I had my eyes peeled for other fabrics that she might like. Excuse me, frog in my throat. And so off I went to, and I guess I can take this off. I went over to her place on the weekend and showed her the fabrics I got, and she picked out the one she thought would work with the pattern she's picked out. And yesterday, and if you're on Stephen Walter Live, you heard this, I was working on the table runner and it was going together really fast, which impressed me. And I got the top of it all done except for the border on it. I'm showing it to Walter and he says, what's this here? Yeah, I made a mistake. There is a center piece, a center square in this quilt. And because, well, let me show you right here. Okay. So here it is. Now it doesn't have a border on it yet and it's not finished. You notice I have a clip here at the top because this is the square. And you see how far from the top that is? Well, you see how much more there is on one end? And that's what happened. Now I have taken the piece that went up here off because, yeah, I've taken it off. I took it off from this end because this end was way too long. It's better to show you here to see if you get the point. You see where that square is in comparison? Well, it's supposed to be the same number of, whatever you want to call them, points, chevrons on either side. When I did the one that you see behind me, that one worked out fine. But I had to make this one longer. So what I'm thinking is I'll just add pieces to one end. That's fine. No, actually, I thought I'd add equal number of pieces on both ends. But then as in the process of doing it and in my rush, I don't know, it was going really fast. I thought, well, why do I need to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? I can just all one end. Got it all done, showed it to Walter, was very happy with it, very proud, and he says, what's that? So I ripped that out. And so I've got to fix that today. Now, the problem is there's something called Y-seams. Those of you that aren't quilters don't know what I'm talking about, but those of you that are probably shivering because most quilters do when it comes to Y-seams. We don't like doing them. I've done them. I can do them. I'm debating. Someone sent me off to a video that's supposed to be really good showing you how to do Y-seams. I might watch that. And yeah, I've got that whole piece I could attach if I knew how to do Y-seams properly. But I know me. If I try doing that, I'll get a lump in the middle of this. And it doesn't take that long to do those strips. I've got the fabrics already cut. Everything's ready to go. I think, yeah. On this project, I think I'll just, rebuild that end of it and be done with it. It'll take me 20 minutes to do it. Not long. Then I can put the border on it, and then I can throw it and the other table runner both onto Lucy, get them quilted and then bound, and they're done. Yeah, that's the thoughts right now about that. So it just wouldn't be a project for me if I didn't make a mistake and Walter didn't find it. But I'm glad he did. At the time that he did it, I kind of want to kill him, but he was right. I couldn't leave it. It was glaring, and my sister would pick up on it for sure. So no, we'll just take our time. We'll go back and redo that. Okay, so that's what I've been working on. So the YouTube channel of the week is one I don't think I have ever reviewed this entire channel. This is for the techies out there. It's by a person called JJ Shankles. And yeah, if you're into techie stuff, if you're into 3D printing and that kind of thing, I think you'll like this person's channel. Here's my review. This week's YouTube of the week is called JJ Shankles, and he does reviews about all kinds of different electronic and technical toys that you might want to own or you already own. I found him recently because he was reviewing the Yeti mopping robot, and he was comparing it to the iRobot, and we have an iRobot vacuuming system. So I was interested in his review, and I noticed that he has quite a few other reviews on here as well. Now, he does have a whole section on 3D printing. For those of you that are 3D printing enthusiasts, you might want to check out his videos about that. But he has others. He has some on videography and photography, making your own DIY studio, mechanical keyboards, etc. Quite a few things here. If we go to his playlist, we can see how they're organized. As I said, a lot about 3D printing on here, but he has other videos as well. things about drones, for example, that kind of thing. So if you want to know all about tech and electronic toys, because basically they're electronic toys for big boys, then check out JJ Shankles. So you'll find the link for that in the show notes below. You'll find a link for yesterday's Stephen and Walter Live. We talked about our fabric trip to London, Ontario. And if you have seen the So Chatty episode I put up last week, you've seen the $3,100 worth of fabric that I bought. Walter, though, on Stephen and Walter Live yesterday, showed his fabric. Now, some people may have thought that my fabric haul, the pictures I had of it, included what Walter bought. It did not. That was separate. So Walter showed what he bought. He didn't buy nearly as much as I did, but, you know, he sews garments, not quilts. But he did show his finds too. So if you're interested and you haven't seen it yet, check the rebroadcast of Stephen and Walter Live from yesterday. You'll also find a link for the Idiot Quilter, episode 181, and that's where I talk about the Quilt Path course I took a week ago or so, and what I learned there and other things. And of course, as I mentioned, there's a So Chatty episode 72, which is the London Fabric Mega Haul. So all of those are listed in the show notes. You'll also find one more thing listed in the show notes. Craft and Chat. Thursday of this week is September the 1st, so the coming weekend is Labor Day weekend. But that means suddenly we have the first Wednesday of the month of September, and that's when we do Craft and Chat. So the first Wednesday is September the 7th, so we will be having Craft and Chat that day, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, running until about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Bring whatever you want to work on. It's always a fun time. The link is in the show notes, as I mentioned, the Zoom link. And those of you that are on my mailing list, I'll be sending that link out to you near the end of this week as well. So the more the merrier. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so what's looking out my window look like today? Well, let's just find that and go here. And here we are. And yeah, it looks like it could be a nice day out. It's a little overcast, but right now the current temperature is 22. So I think it's going to be a hot one today as well. So, you know, that last blast of summer, I guess, before things go back to, you know, kids go back to school. Here in Ontario, kids go back to school after Labor Day. I know in some places in the world, in the States, that the kids are already back in school. But ours go back, and right across Canada, actually, our kids go back to school on the Tuesday after Labor Day Monday. And, you know, it's been 10 years now since I've been retired as a school teacher. Hard to believe where the time went. And I still get a little apprehensive in this last week of summer in anticipation of going back to school. If I had been working, I would have it used pretty much most of the month of August in getting prepped for September. And then you start thinking again, you know, about work, all the things that are coming up, what the new year brings, new kids, all that kind of stuff. And usually on the night of Labor Day, I do not sleep well. I usually have dreams about school. And they're weird dreams. Oftentimes I'm standing in front of a class and I'm naked. And no one seems to be noticing that I'm naked except me. What's that all about? And I still have school dreams. Even after 10 years of retirement, I still do. But one thing I'm very happy about is that next Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, I will not be going to school. And that whole day does feel a little weird. Now, the last couple of years, it's been really weird with COVID and everything like that. But anyways, I hope it's a better school year than it's been for a couple of years for the teachers and for the kids. And, you know, things can get back to something that resembles normalcy. Anyways, that's the kind of day it looks like today, and nice. I'm not going to complain. Okay. So Turning over the page. What's pissing me off this week? Well, yeah, in summer, we only have really two seasons in this country, in this area. Winter and road construction. And wow, what a mess they make of road construction. In my city, it seems like every one of the major routes to wherever you want to go has detours, has construction, has slowdowns, has flagmen, has dump trucks full of gravel that are spreading it all over the road and kicking it up and knocking it into your car and chipping your paint and breaking your windshield. Okay? But it's not just here where I live. It happens in the cities where when we went to London, it was all dug up as well. It's like they saved this all up. They don't do any construction during the colder months. Save it all up, get out their cones. That's the other thing. They put all these cones, they put up all these signs, and then they'll sit there for a couple of weeks before anybody gets over there and starts digging a hole. What's that all about? Yeah, I'm not on city planning or anything like that. I'm sure there is some, well, I would like to think there is some logic in what they do. But, the evidence suggests otherwise. And they put up these signs. This road will be closed from such and such a date to such and such a date. Well, like I said, the sign is there. There's nobody home. Nobody's working on it for weeks. Weeks after the sign goes up. And then the sign is still there after the date when it's supposed to be done, and there's nobody there. You saw somebody maybe once, if you were lucky, digging a hole. There's the hole, there's the sign, and we're now past the due date, the expiry date or whatever, and it's still not open up, and you don't know anything. Now, I have noticed over the years they're getting a little clever on major road construction. They put up a sign that says, road closed from such and such a date to such and such a date, but they don't put a year on it. Yeah. Open from August to December, no year. Well, that could be, to the December the next year. And in many cases it is. Now, what do they blame this on? Well, now they blame it on shortage of workers, because of COVID, blah, blah, blah. But this has not been happening. This was happening before COVID. And it just seems to me, yes, our infrastructure needs to be repaired. There's no two ways about it. The ironic part is they spend all this time repairing something. It doesn't look any different than what it was like before they started the repairs. So what were they doing? Don't know. It's a mystery. Go and try and find out what they're doing. There aren't any signs explaining what they're doing. You go to this your city's website or something like that. Yeah, they'll just tell you there's road construction on such and such from such and such a date. I'm not telling you what it is. In here in Ontario, it's often, your tax dollars at work. Road infrastructure improvement. That could mean anything. Why? You're planting flowers on the side of the road, laying down new asphalt, digging holes, and then getting back out of them to see how many holes you can make. I don't know. And it wreaks havoc on your vehicle because a lot of times they have taken the surface of the road off. So you have all these manhole covers that are now about a foot off the ground, and you're driving along and you go, oh shit, and bang, there goes your alignment. You've hit that or bottomed out on it. And they come upon you pretty quick too. In those cases, sometimes there's a little tiny sign right in front of it with some little squiggly line on it or something that I think is supposed to imply this might be bumpy. Might? So the level of intelligence at the city level for planning these kind of things, are these not engineers? Are these not people who went to school, got degrees, and and they must have learned how to do construction in a living city, when there's traffic and everything like that around, and how you reroute it. But why is it that every detour takes me to another detour? You just can't get there from here, is what it's like. And then the first snowflake falls and all construction stops. Actually, even before the first snowflake falls, as soon as it gets just a little bit cold out there, suddenly construction stops. Now, does that mean they've cleaned up their mess and you can get through? No. It just means it sits there until next summer. And it looks like a mess. Um, I am sure. I am sure there's a plan. I am sure there is some reasoning behind this. There has to be. I have to think there is. Because otherwise, what does that say? Well, we know what that says about the people who govern us. They're idiots. We know that. We put them in power. Who's the bigger idiot, them or us? But anyways, here in Canada, we have two seasons, winter and construction. And the thing too is, yeah, in the wintertime here in this country, if we're buried under, a foot of snow, 2 feet of snow, something like that, very difficult to work on the roads and things like that. However, where I live in the greater GTA, Greater Toronto area, we don't get snow usually until January. Oh yeah, we can have a freakish blast or something that comes on and boom, buries us, but usually it melts again. So they could be working then, and sometimes they do, but most of the time you just look at it and go, yeah, here I go again. I have to fight my way through construction to get from point A to point B. So that's life here. I have a feeling this isn't unique. I have a feeling this happens in many, many places across our country and across North America, and probably across Europe too. I don't know. And they just don't build these roads to last. They're always doing something, right? So, anyways, that's life. So, welcome to the end of summer, but not necessarily the end of construction. Okay, so that takes me to what's new on my that I've purchased lately. Well, you've seen the London Fabric Hall, and that's basically what's new. So I'm not going through all of that because there's a whole hour and a half video on all of that for you. I did buy though something called a finger mouse, and I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, by the way, just in case you haven't seen the video about the fabric haul, there's what $3,100 worth of fabric looks like. Yeah, all laid out there. Yeah, that's not where it's staying. It's been filed away. I have places for it, but yep. And here's the other toy that I bought. I actually bought two of these. They're both different. The second one hasn't arrived yet. This is called a finger mouse. I had never heard of one of these until I took the course that for using my QuiltPath, the computerized system for my long arm. And the way they were using it, and it's kind of hard to explain, and I might, once I figure out how this thing works, I might do a video about this. Essentially, what they're intended for is for you to wear them on your your middle finger, and those two little tabs next to the little scroll dial are your mouse buttons, and there's a laser light, and you can basically be typing away at your computer, and then instead of reaching over and grabbing your mouse, you can use this thing. It's right there on your finger, and it'll do whatever you want it to do. Personally, I think it's very awkward to use it that way, but that's not what I'm going to be using it for. I'm using it for on my long arm. I've strapped it to the handle of my long arm, and there are certain things you do in the computerized program where you are doing a lot of repositioning of your needle when you're doing custom quilting, and you have to mark zones in this software so it knows where to start and where to end, and you have to manipulate the needle with the handles over the spot, and then you on the computer screen you click, it's a touch screen, you touch it and that marks the spot and you move to the next one. Well, the problem is you're taking your hands off the handles, and when you do that, these machines are very sensitive. They move, and you don't want it to move. You want to be exactly right where you want to mark the spot. So this helps you to keep your hands on the handles and keep it steady, and then just with a flick of your finger, bang, you hit one of those little tab buttons on here and you have your spot marked. So we used one during the course, and yeah, I thought it was a really good device. So I ordered one. I ordered this one, It arrived on Friday. I've hooked it up, but I haven't really played with it yet. I will probably later this week. And like I said, I maybe will do a little video of this to see how I can make it work. Now, the reason I have a second one coming, which is doesn't come until, well, possibly sometime in September, is because I ordered it first, but I realized it was more expensive and wasn't really the one I wanted. So I tried to cancel the order because, on Amazon, usually you can cancel an order within a few hours after you put something in. Well, I guess I missed the timeline on that one, and so it's coming as well. Now I can return it, but I thought, what the heck? I'll get it. Maybe I'll like it better. It's more expensive. Like this one was only 17 09, as you can see. The other one was about $39 dollars. Um I'll try them both. And the one I like, I'll keep. The other one, well, I'll either keep or for something else or as a backup maybe, or I'll send it back. I don't know what. So I'll wait until that comes. So that's the only other things new that I got in the last week. Okay, 3D corner time. Nothing. Believe it or not, I have not been printing anything for almost a week. That is the longest time I have been down with the 3D printing since I got my 3D printers almost 2 years ago. And why is that? I don't know what to print. I mean, I've printed a lot of gnome things, as you know. And, things for Christmas. I've done some Christmas decorations. Um, I don't know what to print next. I I don't want to be just printing, bits and pieces of little fantasy figures and things like that because honestly, I'm not into fantasy figures. Um, I want to print something that's practical and useful. Like pencil holders, flower pots. But I've got a ton of flower pots. Mind you, I probably could use another one. My philodendrons are growing. Um, but okay, I don't need any more pencil cups or pin cushions or I don't know. So I guess I'm gonna have to take an hour or two and scour Thingiverse and see what things there grab my interest that maybe I can think of. Also, I'm always thinking of these things as gifts for people. So I want them to be practical and cute. So I don't know. I just have to look. If you've got any ideas, okay, take into consideration that I can't design my own pieces. Okay, I don't know how to use the CAD programs that are out there that you can use for designing your own 3D pieces. I probably should learn how to use one, but that takes up time and that eats into my quilting time, and that's more important to me. So that's why I don't do that. Um, Plus, there's all kinds of freebies out there, like thousands upon thousands upon thousands. So, if by chance, though, you've got an idea, put it in the comments below, and maybe that'll spark something in me, and maybe, who knows, maybe I'll find something. So yeah, nothing to show you on the 3D printer this week. So that takes me to Blasts from the Past. And of course, continuing our 2018 trip in Australia. And this one now we're in Perth. Perth is located in the, let's see, it would be the northwest corner of Australia. And the distance between going from Sydney to Perth is about the same distance as going from where I live here in, near Toronto, Ontario, to Vancouver, BC. Australia is a big country. So we had to fly to Perth for that one. And so here's for our first day of Perth.
Okay, so this is going to be our first day in Perth, and I don't know what we have planned. What do we
I
have
was
planned?
just gonna walk around. I
Get our
was
bearings?
thinking, we go past the port area here, and then maybe into the central business district a
Yeah.
bit, and go from there.
Okay. And we have to give Deborah uh, a lady we know that we were on a trip, met her and her husband on a trip 8 years ago to China, and she lives in Perth. And she has graciously offered to take us around to a few places and whatnot. So we have her phone number, and we'll give her a call later today and get that all set up. And yeah, today is getting our feet wet in Perth. No, we are not stepping into a water. We're going to look around the streets. We saw a little bit of it last night when we were on our hunt for essentials like wine and beer. And oh, I think we got some food too. But we were really tired. And so we didn't really explore anymore. But what I've seen of Perth, just a small look of it, it looks fairly sophisticated in comparison to Adelaide. But I mean, that's probably comparing apples to oranges because they're both very different spots. It's sort of like comparing Oshawa, where we live, to say Vancouver, BC. But anyways, we'll see what we'll see. Okay, so we're down here on what do you call this? Yeah, news guy over there.
Elizabeth Key.
This is Elizabeth Key. And it looks like it's sort of an entertainment complex. There's a guy over there doing the news. Thank you. I needed that on my video. Probably didn't pick it up anyways. So you can see it's all got all this waterfront down here. So it does look like a sort of a very nice looking. See this being a very attractive spot for things in the summer. And this is another view of the city skyline from Elizabeth Key. This is another view of Elizabeth Key. There's ferries down here that you can take to other parts of the city. This big pedestrian bridge, it looks like. Very modern looking. A little sample of some artwork down in Elizabeth Key. This mural kind of thing. Over in that area is King's Garden, a botanical garden. Another view looking out over this harbor and the pedestrian bridge. And we're on the pedestrian bridge right now. So here's another view of the city. Very picturesque. The ferry's coming in. Still down on the waterfront. We have this big tower thing here. I don't know if there's any place to stand if you can help it. We have all these shops and cafes down here as well.
So this blue cat, this is the
They have a free transit system. Get you where you want to go downtown. And this is one of their gardens, park areas. This is called the Supreme Court Garden. I wonder if the Supreme Court or something is located around here.
that might be it.
What, that one? Building over there. Could be. It's the one thing about Australia and all the cities. They all have a lot of green spaces right in the heart of the city. It's very tropical, very lush, more so than what Adelaide was like. Walter says he thinks Adelaide is more desert, but it's definitely very different from Adelaide and from Melbourne. They each have their unique characteristics, which makes it kind of interesting to see each one of the cities this time on the trip. And then you have a mixture of the old right in amongst the new. Just another section as we walk about today. Today's a walkabout day. Trying to see what things there are in Perth, get a sense of the city. So we are here for a week. Seems like a very compact city. Well, just maybe do it in a day. They're all lined up for something. This is the art gallery in Perth. The lobby.
This one was make sure I still bug you and look at it.
Some more of the art gallery, the more contemporary items. There you go. Mixed media. Do with old pieces of whatever.
Found objects.
Okay, so this is looking out from the art gallery down into the train station. So it seems in Perth they have all these pedestrian malls with shopping on them, and they have all these interlocking buildings that are interconnected by walkways, which is what we're on right now. You can see below us is one of the street malls. What's that?
A lot of stuff under construction.
Oh, yeah. I know. I'm so sick of that side spots of all arcades.
This is one of the, we have several of these pedestrian malls, which are kind of nice because you don't have to worry about traffic. And there's why it's called Carillon City. There. And now they're not moving. They moved just before the time. Yeah. Picture. Say hello. Hello. Never mind. Gives you an example of the old extended name.
So that takes me to events in the past week. Well, the big event was our trip to London. Besides putting up the video of all the different stores that we went to and the fabric that we got, yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, we did talk about the city of London itself. And remember, I'm talking about London, Ontario, Canada, not London, England. Oh, I wish it was London, England, but not this year. And okay, I don't want to offend anybody that comes from the area, but London, the city, not nice. Not nice. No. I am sure if you're a native to that area, you know where the nice parts are and the nice things to do. But for us, as outsiders, walking down to the downtown core, which was all under construction, as I mentioned before, not nice. A lot of street people, homeless people. What big cities don't have that anymore? You know, that's not unique. But I didn't feel comfortable. And I don't know if it's because I have developed a certain level of paranoia over during the COVID time or what. I mean, Walter and I have traveled into many places over the years in the world. And, you know, as a rule, as a traveler, you know, you stay in the well-populated areas of a city. You don't venture out into the bad sections because every city has a bad section. You know, make sure your valuables, you're not carrying any. You keep your wallet in your front pocket. You are mindful of your surroundings and the people in those surroundings and that kind of thing. You take cautions. But I have never really felt a fear. It was a fear that I was feeling when I was in downtown London. Again, that may be part of the reason, like part of the whole thing that I haven't traveled in several years. You know, we've been pretty much staying close to home because of COVID, right? And maybe that's why I had those feelings, because I'm not a scaredy cat, but things didn't start off very well when we're walking down London and there's a guy tattooed from the top of his head to the bottom of his toes, wearing a dirty undershirt, living in a cardboard box, yelling across the street from the park he was located in at a woman, and he was yelling not nice things to her, but apparently she knew him, and she was yelling some nice, a lot of things back at him that weren't so nice, and apparently she's been cheating on him. So all their dirty laundry was aired out there for all of us to hear on the street, and it got worse from there as we got closer to the main center of town. Why were we walking down there, you may want to know? Well, because we're going to a fabric store, of course, that was located in that area. But we talked more about that on Stephen and Walter Live, so I'm not going to dwell on it here at all. But anyways, though, the trip overall was really fun. It was nice to get away for 2 days. It was nice to sit in we went to a couple of interesting restaurants, having dinner and whatnot. It was just really nice. The hotel we stayed at was nice. Yeah, it was a nice 2 days. It really was. So that's about all we did last week. So what's coming up? Well, I've already mentioned Craft and Chat. Just a reminder, Wednesday, September 7th. That's not this Wednesday coming, it's the next Wednesday. Links in the show notes. And also, I'll be sending out the email, as I said, to those of you on my mailing list. I did have an interview scheduled for Saturday, this past Saturday, with Kawartha Quilting. But I got an email while we were in London from Zach, the owner, saying he'd been to a wedding the weekend before and he just found out that a few people there tested positive for COVID. So he was doing the safe thing. He was isolating himself from his employees. So he asked if it'd be okay if we put it off until after the Labor Day weekend. So September 10th is now our new date for that. I have a new microphone system that I'm going to use with that. I tested it out while we were in London and it seemed to work great. So that interview will be coming. Now, having said that, I do have an interview with an individual tomorrow. That won't go up until I might get it up during this week. I'm not sure, or it'll be up for next week. And I've got another couple of interviews scheduled for the near future too. So I have a few things there. And thank you for those of you that have sent me, suggestions for interviews. I can't do them all. Some of them just wouldn't work in my environment, but I do appreciate you making the suggestions and carry on. Continue doing so. I appreciate it. Okay, so that's about all that's coming up. Tomorrow on Idiot Quilter, I'm going to talk about some classes I've booked into for the fall. And there'll be other things I'll be talking about as well. So I hope you can join me tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter as well. Okay, that's it. I hope you have a great week. Enjoy the last week of summer and have a good one. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.